What's up guys, Chris Clemons here with Team Dynamic Discs. I'm here in Emporia. It's January, so it's super cold, super windy, but I've been getting a lot of questions about doing a forehand tutorial, a forehand video. So today I'm going to work with you guys and show you some of what I do and what I've learned kind of over the years. Usually the first thing, people have questions on is their grip. When I first started playing, I used kind of a split grip, they call it. It gives you a little bit more control, but shortly I started to work with kind of the basic forehand grip, what probably 90% of people use. I know like Nate Sexton kind of uses like this claw grip. Paul Macbeth kind of uses a power grip. I take my middle finger, like the pad, and I just kind of put it on the inside rim there and kind of use this as a stabilizer on the flight plate, and then just kind of pinch with my thumb. Everybody's hand's different, so you can kind of work with it and get what feels good for you. I know like Ricky Wysocki, he'll put the disc way deep in his hand, back in there. For me, I don't put it all the way back there, but it's pretty far back there, and that's taken a little bit of time to learn. And yeah, so I'm pretty comfortable with it now. And with the grip, like my middle finger, the pad of it, I put kind of on the rim. You don't really want to have both on the flight plate. You're not going to get, you want it pressed up against the rim, at least your middle finger, and then your pointer finger, you can have it on the flight plate, but you really want it nice and firm in your hand. You don't want somebody to be able to walk by and just knock it out of your hand. You want to have a good, nice, firm grip. If you don't have a tight grip, you can usually wobble because you're coming through pretty fast. I guess the second thing I would like to talk about would probably kind of be footwork. A lot of people have different types of footwork. I came from playing baseball my entire life, so that's probably where I got a lot of my forehand technique, my throw, my footwork. My footwork's pretty basic, and some of the time I don't even really need to have that much of a run-up. I guess I got a lot of my footwork from playing baseball, throwing a crow hop. If you're in the outfield, me being a lefty, it's right foot forward first, and then the crow hop to get your body set to throw, and then throwing. So I guess I kind of adapted that to my forehand, and so I kind of do a couple shuffle steps, to get my body loose and ready, and then I just kind of go right foot forward first, and then kind of X step and through. I think a really important thing that I like to teach, backhand, forehand, anything, I get a lot of my power from my left leg. So for you right-handed players, you're gonna get it from your right leg. And I drive through with my hip. It's usually the first thing that kind of comes through my shot. And so if I'm driving through, then my elbow, my shoulder, everything's gonna kind of be following, and I just go through, and that's from years of just throwing a baseball or football or whatever, it's pretty natural. But if you're, sometimes I know that sometimes I'll get a little forward with my shoulder, and that's when I start kind of rolling stuff over. And so then I can kind of lead with my hips a little bit more, my lower body. That's where you're gonna get a lot of power. And that's what a lot of people ask me about, is where I get that power. And it's really from the lower body and really driving with the hips. Something that I remind myself a lot is to stay like over my feet and to kind of stay a little more upright. Because if I do one thing, it's kind of like getting low and leaning back and popping it up in the air. And so I try to tell myself to, stay over my feet and stay nice and upright and good. Of course you're gonna be leaning a little bit, but that's one of the things I remind myself, and it helps me. But if you're throwing a hyzer, it's just like a backhand. You're going to want to be leaning a little forward, with your body. You don't want to be too like, if you're upright like this trying to throw a hyzer, that's just not really going to work that well. So you kind of want to have the disc lower than your elbow, so you can keep that line. So as far as timing goes and when to start your throw, I think that usually a good thing to do is when I plant on my right foot. So for you guys, your left foot, that's kind of when I know to start my throw and bringing things through. It kind of tells me, you know, I need to get locked into place. I need to get my shoulder, you know, my elbow, my wrist. I need to get all those things locked into place. One of my good friends, Kyle Webster, back when I lived in Joplin years ago when we were kind of learning forehands together, I remember his left foot, it would like really smack on the ground like when he steps, you know, he'd really like get that step in there. And I think that that's good for planting, you know, there's not anything necessarily wrong with that if it feels comfortable for you. I know that I probably do plant pretty hard on my off foot because sometimes if it's slippery, if the grass is wet or something like that, when I do slip, this foot slips out and I fall kind of like that. So I am planting pretty good, but when I do plant, my weight is starting to transfer to the back side of my body and I'm getting set so I can roll, you know, and come through and complete the shot. For me, learning to pitch and play baseball from an early age, something that I was taught from one of my pitching coaches in high school. He with my off arm, so my right arm, my non-throwing arm, he taught me when I'm coming through to like act like you're elbowing your little brother, like right in the head, like you're mad at him. So if I were to throw and come through, I would be driving right here and it would get my body coming through. So I remember reading a couple comments a couple years ago when I was throwing a forehand, and I kind of, with my off arm, I kind of like come through, you know, and I still do that because it kind of gets my whole body moving in the right direction. You know, you kind of want to be driving with your off arm. And one of the things that I do like to teach is keeping your elbow. You don't have to keep your elbow like on your hip, you know, but you don't really want it out here, you know. It's going to be really hard to throw a hyzer if your elbow's way out here. It's really hard to do. So keeping your elbow in is, I like to teach that, you know, and there's different arm slots for everything. Sometimes when I'm throwing big shots, it'll come out a little bit, but in general, you don't want to keep it out here because then you start getting into throwing an overhand shot, and that's not really what you're going for. You know, some people, like I know Macbeth, he kind of does the arm swing, and Scott Stokely, he kind of brings his way out here and too, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like basically in baseball, you know, everybody has different styles of swings and stuff like that, but as long as you get, you know, set where you need to be right when you're throwing, there's nothing wrong with where you are beforehand, just like backhands and stuff like that. You probably, I mean, I think compact is pretty good. It's safe, you know, as far as learning, if you're kind of learning a forehand from the ground up. You know, if you've thrown in the past, like baseball, you know, you are taught to keep it pretty compact. You don't want to be out too far. I know football is the same way. You're trying to keep it pretty close. Mine's kind of in between, and I'm just kind of here, you know, kind of up here, probably like I used to hold a baseball, and then just bringing it through here. And so I don't take it too far back. I do know some people do. Some people who have really good forehands, they kind of hold it way out here and then bring it through. But I don't, and I wouldn't suggest either way. You kind of do what feels good for you, as long as you get to that point, you know, when you're off, when this foot plants, as long as you're here and you're ready to start your throw and ready to throw, then there's nothing wrong with what you're doing beforehand. You know, an important part to every throw is the follow through. One mistake that's common, and I even make it sometimes, is kind of rolling over when you're coming through, and they'll kind of roll over and their hand will be kind of like you're throwing a football. Honestly, you kind of roll your wrist over and your palms facing down. And you see some of the best forehand players like Jeremy Colling, Yuli, Sexton, they're keeping their palms up in the air. And so when you're coming through, especially on a hyzer, you want to be finishing as long as you can, keeping it facing up. You know, sometimes you might need to throw a turnover if you're throwing like a really overstable disc on some crazy line. You know, you can get creative, of course, but in general, keeping your palm up, you're gonna develop good form and good habits. For me, you know, I've heard a lot of different things about following through, but in general, you want to be following through forward. You know, that's something that I try to do and I try to emulate, especially when I'm kind of taking practice swings on the tee. You know, I'm trying to follow through and trying to hit, you know, a certain point. And so if you can kind of keep that through your whole swing and you release the disc, but you're following through, you know, forward, everything's kind of going forward, you know, then I think you're going to be, you know, in good shape. I do see a lot of people, you know, they might like lean back and kind of follow through up, or they might roll over and kind of fall over their body, you know, and kind of lose their balance. You want to have a good balance throughout. You know, if you look at somebody like Eagle McMahon, he'll throw big forehands, but he's just kind of here, and then that's it. He makes it look very smooth, and so that's what you're looking for. If you can develop those good habits, you know, you might only be able to throw it 250 feet, but if you can develop those good habits early, then you can build up and you can throw further and further once you know, get used to that timing and the release and what kind of discs you want to be throwing. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little forehand tutorial. I'll definitely be doing more and looking at your guys' questions on this video and trying to answer some more specific questions you guys have. But you guys should follow Dynamic Discs on YouTube. You can follow DD Clemonade on Instagram, and I'll catch you next time.